Hey everybody, Jim Ingersoll here, hanging out with the REI Giver himself, Antoine Campbell. It's good to see you again. How are you, Antoine?
Good. How you doing, Jim?
Awesome. So thanks for being on my podcast with me. All of our real estate success listeners, you guys are all rock stars, and I greatly appreciate all of you guys that share content, leave comments in YouTube, ask questions, all of that stuff. And today is a great guest that you're going to love getting to know. And he's known as the REI Giver. So you guys that follow my podcast know that I love having givers on my show because the more we all give, the more we all receive. It's just that simple. And we're going to also dig into DRIP, which is double revenue, increased profit. We're going to talk about VAs and what you can do with them and how to use them. So you're going to want to buckle up, maybe listen to this twice, share it, ask questions, and stay with us all the way to the end with Antoine. Antoine, how are you today?
Good, good. How you doing, Jim? Thank you
I'm
again
good.
for having me on.
Oh, I'm excited to have you on. Now, you're based out of DC, right? Or
Yes.
Maryland?
Yes. I live in Maryland, but I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C.
Awesome. You got that nice district hat on. I see. I like it.
Thank you.
So let's go back in time. I saw you are hot and heavy on social media, by the way, which I think is awesome.
Thank you.
If any of our listeners are not making money off social media in today's environment, you're missing a huge opportunity. So let me just throw that out there right at the beginning. Do you agree, Antoine?
I definitely agree. Social media is a big part of what I do. It's definitely helped me get to the level.
Believe me, I've got like a love-hate relationship with it because it's the biggest distraction I've got also. But if you're looking to connect with sellers, looking to connect with buyers, looking to grow your network, all those things can be done very easily. So everybody should take that as your first takeaway. You should be connecting with Antoine for sure. So let's go back in time. I saw your post recently that you haven't had like W-2 reportable income in a really long time, correct?
Yeah, since 2013. I believe my last paycheck I got was in August of 2013.
2013, and here we are 2020. Can you believe it's been almost 7 years?
Exactly.
So what were you doing before that? Like, what was your jobs? Where did you grow up? How did you, like, take us up to 2013 first?
Okay, so I'm originally from Washington, D.C., born and raised. I live in and out of subsidized housing all my entire life.
Oh
my mom and my dad, they got married at a young age. I think in their 20s, like 21. My mom had me, she was 16. And I just knew growing up, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My grandfather, he did construction. My dad, he runs his own private charter transportation. So he's the guy to take kids on school trips into the pumpkin patch and whatnot. So,
nice.
I went to high school. I went to Crossland High School out in Temple Hills, Maryland. I graduated in 2007. I was supposed to graduate in 2006, but my mom kept me back in the first grade. So once I came out of high school, I was supposed to go into real estate as a real estate agent. I already paid for the classes for Long and Foster, but in 2007, 2008, something crazy happened. The market took a hit. I didn't know anything about that type of stuff. I just knew that being a real estate agent didn't make sense because my mom and dad was actually losing their house through foreclosure over in Temple Hills, Maryland. And believe it or not, there's still a lot of houses sitting vacant from that time. So I decided to take a different route, and I end up Gaylord National down in the National Harbor, Maryland. Ended up having this big, crazy job fair. And my friend at the time, Jeremy, called me and told me, hey, let's go apply to this job fair and try to get a good job. So at the time, I was working at McDonald's, the third shift. That's when McDonald's finally introduced the 24-hour drive-through. And so we went down there, and I met this guy named Bob. He's from Sierra Leone. And I told him, he said, what you want to do? I said, listen, Bob, I don't give a hell what you give me. I just need a job. And I said, I wash some dishes. And that's what I told him. He said, you'll wash dishes? And lo and behold, this guy was the hotel senior dishwasher. So he was in charge of all the dishwashers in the hotel, all 500 of them.
Oh my
Now, he ended up giving me a job right there on the spot. The pay was $12.40 an hour. So I went from making $7.25 to $12 overnight. Literally, it was like life-changing. That being said, as soon as I got my first check, I moved out. I moved out when I was 18. And I never looked back ever since. I'm 31, going on 32 at the end of this year in September. and I've been on my own providing for myself ever since. That's all the way up to 2013.
That is amazing. So, what part of Washington did you grow up in, and where
I
did you go
mainly
to
grew up
school?
in Southeast. I lived in a little bit in Northeast for periods of time, but I mainly grew up in Southeast.
Hmm. How did those early years of your youth and your teenage years, growing up, like with your father being an entrepreneur, make an impact on your life?
Yeah, so I got a chance to spend a lot of time with my dad early in my life, right? I was the kid that washed the school buses. I was the kid that swept the school buses, rode with him to every single trip. I was a kid that I was just glued to my father. I just seen nothing but greatness within him. And I knew right then and there that I wanted to work for myself. And just to see my father being able to create his own schedule was very, very interesting.
Freedom.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. And then so you went through high school, you got out, you didn't go to college, you went out and you started working at McDonald's, and then you shifted over to, I can't believe they had 500 people washing dishes. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
because you gotta understand, this hotel is so huge that you have different departments. You have restaurants, you have banquets, you have meetings. Like, think about who's got to wash all these dishes. If you go, you ever been to a convention center when there's 15,000
Oh, yeah.
people to a conference? Who you think in the background washing all these plates that you ate your bagel on?
I
So
never thought about
yeah,
it. And you
yeah,
said that's at the Gaylord, which is gigantic. I mean, they're
yeah.
constantly having conferences. Maybe someday you'll have your conference there.
That's one of my goals, to be able to bring a conference there. Very expensive, but that's one of my goals.
So wouldn't that be really cool? Like if you were able to do a conference there and that's where you started off washing dishes?
Yeah, I actually called him. I was gonna have Drip there, but for some reason we didn't see eye to eye, me and the sales manager. Because I worked in a hotel, and most people don't know this, but a lot of these real estate conferences are not profitable because they don't know how to negotiate with the hotels. So we decided to go with a small boutique hotel where everything's on the table for negotiation to get a
I
better
like
deal.
it. I agree with you. I just did Dealmaker 2020 and people don't realize how expensive they are
Yeah.
to pull off. That reminds me of Lori Eubanks. You know Lori, right?
Oh yeah, I know her too. She's an awesome person.
So she just bought that resort, and from the guy that used to be married to a Victoria's Secret model, which is another crazy real estate story, right? But she used to like clean for that guy, and now she like bought the resort, and I
Yeah,
just love it.
man, that's very humbling.
I love it. So then you went into real estate. How did you get started? Like, who taught you when you were first starting out? And tell me about some of your early deals that you were doing.
So let's rewind it back. Before I became a real estate entrepreneur, I was an entrepreneur selling tags for the Maryland DMV. So I had my own satellite office, and me and my wife had 3 locations.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
it was an awesome thing, and we made a ton of money. But the issue was it wasn't still technically a business because we worked for someone, we answered to someone, and it was regulated. So that was just a whole stress within it. So let's go back some. When I was younger, I used to watch infomercials, the Ron LeGrand's, this guy John Beck talking tax lanes. That type of stuff really turned me on. Seeing
Uh-huh.
the people jogging on the beach in slow motion, I knew right then and there I wanted to be a real estate investor.
Uh-huh.
So once I had the opportunity to dive into it, I took it and ran with it. So I say about 2016, I started catching the bug, going to the little meetups and the rigs. Ain't really do much. Then when 2017 came around, you know how you make them goals at the beginning of the year. I said, listen, this is the year that I'm not looking back. I had a little money saved. And we did our first deal in 2017. We got beat up. We did our first fix and flip. We used hard money with a combination of seller finance as the down payment to get the deal done. We made a little bit of money, but like I tell people, man, we made so many mistakes. We did everything twice, I believe. The HVAC, the plumbing. That was the best mastermind that I think I could have went through. That taught me so much. It taught me in this business, no one's your friend. Everything needs to be black and white. No one's going to feel sorry for you because you knew. Just because you don't know, that don't mean you get an excuse. It taught me so much, man, that in 2018, I decided to reinvent myself and really start adding wholesaling into what we did. And we ended up buying, I think, 6 fix and flips in 2018, and we did a ton of wholesale deals. So that really put me on the right track. And then I just started using VAs. The VAs will really got me to that next level because one thing I learned about entrepreneurship, you got to keep your costs down. No matter what business you in, you got to keep your costs down. You got to stay liquid as possible so that when the hard times come, not if the hard times come, but when the hard times come, you can try to weather the storm.
That's a great point. And that goes right into the book Profit First. I don't know if you've read that, but
I read it twice.
Like whacked me right in the face, man.
Yeah.
It's so true. And the reset is going to come. We just don't know exactly when. So those are all
Exactly.
really good takeaways. And like you, I started off wholesaling as well. And so I went into wholesaling also. Did you like migrate from fix and flips to wholesaling because you wanted to start finding your own deals?
So yeah, so what happened was we was working with people that was wholesalers, and they was bringing us deals that didn't make sense. So I'm a type of person, I like to keep things simple, and I like to control things. I like to be what we call the plug. I like to have the direct access to whatever I'm trying to accomplish. And I said, you know what, we can start doing lead generation. We was hanging up the REIs and stuff. They didn't teach us about cold calling. They didn't teach us about lead generation. The only thing they told us about just going to MLS and you'll find a deal. So once we start watching YouTube videos and I understand this thing called cold calling and really running a business at scale, man, I'd lock myself in the house for like 2 weeks and really learn everything I could on YouTube.
You know, and I'll give a shout out to Max Maxwell here because I know you know Max as well, and I've had him on. I've had him on my podcast, and his YouTube channel has really impacted a lot of people. So anyone who's listening should go check out Max Maxwell as well as Antoine Campbell and myself. He's done a lot of good for a lot of people. So you started learning off YouTube University, and then you'd like watch a video, learn, and then take action.
Exactly. And to this day, I know it sounds arrogant and cocky, but I never had like a formal mentor. I never really paid nobody. I read a ton of books. I bought maybe one course. I really didn't get much from it, but I still took the information and tried my best to make it, work. But outside of that, it's always finding what I'm struggling in, and then finding an expert in what I'm struggling in and digest their content. And I tell everybody, one mentor not going to teach you everything. You got to figure out what are you struggling, whether it's cold calling, whether it's lead generation, whether it's financial literacy. Figure that out and find that expert that specializes in that and just digest all their content.
Awesome. Great tips. And we have DRIP coming up. It's coming up April 3rd and 4th, correct?
Yes, April 3rd and 4th, National Harbor, Maryland. DRIP stands for Double Revenue, Increased Profit. I invited some of the top people in the country to really come and pour into people, to show them real estate is not just a hustle. A lot of people I see that's trying to do the real estate, they're just chasing it check by check. I want people to learn that you have to build a pipeline, you have to be consistent, and you really have to create a predictable business in order to survive in this type of industry.
And that's a great point. A lot of investors hit they hit peaks, but then when they hit the valleys, they just want to like pack it up and go bury their head in the sand. And creating some consistency in your marketing and your processes is really critical. So give us a little preview of some of the content at DRIP that will get people thinking and then maybe register to join you guys.
Yeah, so DRIP, we're going to be talking about KPIs, key performance indicators. We're going to be talking about liquidity, how to properly do liquidity. We're going to be talking about asset protection and asset planning, how to properly take title in certain entities that keep you from having some type of footprint on public records. We're going to be going over VAs and how to run your business solely with VAs. If that's something you want to do, we're going to be jumping into virtual wholesaling, how to do deals from the comfort of your own home. And we're going to be catering to a lot of people that's stuck in a W-2 environment, how to really scale a company and still keep your job until you feel it's appropriate to quit.
All right, so that's great. So let's just let's spend a few minutes talking about virtual assistants.
Okay.
Because you've done a really good job unlocking the potential of that to scale your business without taking on tons of expenses. Is that pretty accurate, right?
Right. I agree.
Ties back to what you were talking about earlier. So can you give us some tips? Like if one of our listeners today has never used a VA, but they know it's a good idea, but they're afraid because they don't know how to find one, train one, what tasks to give, what would you say are some easy steps to take to get them out of the starting blocks?
First of all, you need to write down your entire business, every process from start to finish. What does acquisitions look like? What does prospecting look like? What does the standard way that you answer the telephone like? Everything needs to become a standard, the same way McDonald's did it, the same way Marriott told me. Create a standard operating procedure, and then create a detailed job description and set that level of expectation. So when you go out and source and look for talent, you know exactly what you need as far as the people that you're trying to recruit. You just don't want to recruit any and everybody. You want to recruit specific people for specific things and play on their strengths to really help scale your company.
What are some things that some of our listeners could be outsourcing to VAs that they may be doing right now?
You can outsource texting, right? As far as lead generation, you can outsource cold calling. You can outsource admin related stuff. Say, for example, manage your calendar. You can outsource so many things. Like anything that requires a computer and a telephone connection, you can outsource. That's just my opinion.
And I've outsourced a bunch of that, so I know it can be done, and they can do it better than I can. For instance, cold calling and things.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's lead that into marketing a little bit. Everybody right now is struggling to find deals, but you're not having any problem finding deals.
Yeah, I think that I said this at We Live when I spoke.
Yeah.
70% of people are selling their house to solve a problem. 30% of people are selling their house to gain something financially, right? So it goes back to the type of list you pull. You want to pull pain point type lists, pre-foreclosures, all these different types of lists that have some type of pain point in. That's the list that you should be chasing and being consistent with, because they have to have a problem and they have to sell in a certain amount of time, and you're there to provide a solution.
So you like the idea of list stacking? That's the new term, right? So
oh yeah,
list stacking, water shut off, whatever, tax delinquent.
Yeah, so like people don't know, like when it comes to leads and lists, I'm crazy with it. Like we pull a list of people that's on Medicaid and stack it with free and clear. We take a list of people that's known to be gamblers and stack it with bad credit. Like I'm really aggressive when it comes to finding that motivation.
That is an interesting one. I've not heard that one before, Antoine. So so how would you go out and build some of these lists? So the more difficult they are, the more effective they are typically, because there's less investors out there targeting them.
Yeah, so I will tell people this. I realized really quickly we are in a telemarketing type of industry. So I just went to the same place that telemarketers went to procure their list. And man, I found lists that most real estate investors never heard of by doing it. And then I got good and smart, and we create a base list. So you take a high equity list, and then you'll stack it with all these different lists to see who shows up on different lists. And then we'll take that list that shows multiple people on it, and we'll cold call them, or we'll get aggressive with texting them. And then we'll still call the rest of the list, but we'll make that our priority.
Who do you like to use for your skip tracing? Is it REI Skip? I forget.
I have my own skip tracing company. So lately, for the last 3-4 months, we've been using a company called Easy Skip Tracing. It's the same. It's just like REI Skip. We do the same thing. But the beautiful thing about this is it's self-service, so you can log in, you can upload your list, and in a split second, the data engine will spit back out your leads.
So if somebody's listening and they've never cold called before, how do you recommend the call sort of goes?
So I say get you a good script, right? Because each list responds differently, right?
Yeah.
You just don't want to call with the same hanky-panky script. Get you a good script, find your niche, and start there first. So if you're going to be working with tax delinquents or pre-foreclosures, find that type of script and get real good at it and double down on it. So like I said, each list is different. You can play dumb and say, hey, I'm not even sure if I had the right number. Right. I own a few properties and I'm just interested in buying another one in that particular zip code. Are you have a property for sale, or do you know anybody that's looking to sell? And we use that as a base script, and we have a bunch of evidence
as well. Yeah. I've used that, and I think it's pretty effective. And it's kind of generic, and non-threatening.
Yeah. So, and lately, man, to be honest with you, Jim, text messaging, it's just been our #1 lead.
On fire, isn't it?
Yeah. So we have an actual SMS manager. All her job is to send out text and literally sit in front of the computer and reply instantly.
And you don't use Sherpa. Who do you like again?
Currently, I'm using the Smarter Contact. Pretty awesome. A lot of these text message companies are getting shut down because of compliance issues. I'm not going to say who, but you definitely want to make sure that whoever you're working with as text message understands the law. Making sure whoever you decide to work with text message understands TCPA and have that feature in their texting software so you can stay in compliance.
What is TCPA?
So I don't know the exact definition of it. Okay. All I know is that it's basically saying that it's not no robot. It's not a robot. It's not no mass bot or anything just sending out all these messages. It's an actual human sending it out one by one. So within the smarter contact, that's why I said a VA sitting in front of the computer, they got to click the button to send a text message. So now it's not like a mass text
Like
message.
a mass list. So, stack your list, go after lists that are a little more difficult that others can't get easily. And then consider doing RVMs, text, and cold calling. Would those be your top three?
Right. Yeah, RVM text cold calling is definitely my top three. I like to start off with a text, right, to shake up the tree, to see what leads fall out. Then we follow back up with a cold call, and then we follow up with an RVM.
So don't you think the follow-up is critical?
Follow-up is everything. It usually takes 8 to 12 follow-up calls to get somebody on the phone. So when I see people's new starting off saying, hey, I called this list 2 times, it's crap, I tell them, hey, you haven't even started yet. You got to call 3, 4, 5 more times, guys.
Yeah, and keep following up until they tell you to stop following up multiple times. And never give up. I think it's so important. That follow-up's the best F word in real estate. I think it's
like I tell people, majority of the deals I've ever done thus far, it doesn't matter what list I call or anything. It's just all about being at the right place at the right time. Because a lot of people don't know this. You could call a seller and they might not be motivated tomorrow, but they might go through a life-changing event such as catch cancer, their spouse die, or anything like that, and instantly they looking to sell because most people don't even have 50% of the market, to my knowledge, don't even have 6 months of savings saved up. So they can instantly become a motivated seller if their spouse passed away and them two were splitting the bills down the middle.
So Antoine, and then you've also got your website. It's AntoineCampbell.com, correct?
Yeah, AntoineMCampbell.com.
Oh, I missed that. I'm glad you. I'll get that in my show notes. But what will success listeners find when they go there?
They will find a rare things, right? They'll find products I'm offering. Everything that I bring to the marketplace is strictly for value to help people. So we have our own VA recruitment services. So we specialize in going out, say, for example, you're new, you don't know anything about a VA. We have a course called VA Mastery. It teaches you how to manage the VA and what to look for. It teaches you all the systems and processes. And then you get a 1-hour consultation call with me, as well as we provide you a VA as a courtesy. That's on there. We have tips and tricks. We have the link to my YouTube page to show you all the little things I do. It's so much stuff. We're in the process of updating it to really make it interactive, but it's an awesome place to go to the viral content.
And how are the registrations for DRIP coming along for April? Are they looking
It's
pretty
solid.
good?
People are buying. We did something a little outside the normal that most people do. We listen to the feedback, and majority of the people, they don't have the money right now to afford something like this. You got 10, 15 different events between now and my event. So the one thing I wanted to make sure was anybody who wanted an opportunity to come can come. So we're offering payment plans. You can put down as little as $25 to secure your seat, and then my sales manager, which I hired, will reach out to you and come up with a creative plan to that you can pay at your pace before the event, so you can get into the event.
So looking back over the last 5 years or whatever it's been here, would you say you've had massive success? Do you think that's because of like persistence and hard work? You were just a little bit lucky on the timing of the market, or what would you say like some of the key elements of your success were?
The key elements, to be honest with you, was me putting God first and having a good spouse in my corner that really talks some sense into me when I'm doing bonehead stuff.
Love it.
Without her, I'm nothing. She's the one in the background really making it work. People don't see it, but she really supports me.
I'm so glad you said that. I love that. All right. And people that tell you that you give away too much, I mean, they just don't understand the concept of being a giver. Do you agree?
Yeah, I just tell people, man, live by this motto: give more than you take, and you'll never go without eating. Because even on your down days, you can pick up the phone, and people respect you so much that they'll help you during your hard times.
Man, I would be there on the phone with you any day. I love what you're doing. Congrats on everything. And I really appreciate your being my guest today to share your story and to share the drip that's coming up with the double revenue, increase your profits.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. If anything anybody need, if you're struggling, never hesitate to reach out. I'm that guy. I answer all my Facebook messages, my Instagram messages, and I try my best to be transparent as possible.
Love it. Keep on giving, because the more we give, the more we receive. Antoine, have a great day, and thanks for being my guest on the Real Estate Success Podcast.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Keep on rocking.